When I talk about why I think health rights concerning consent and the involvement of consent are of tremendous significance and even more importance than the activities of any healthcare related agent. Has to do with things like errancy stemming from assumption, and particularly when you have faith motivating people into healthcare. And I've debated people on forums who are religious and said, well, how, when they ask you and the girl says, oh, we just need you to open your heart and take a little leap of faith. Like, remember that tone? Like, later on, years later, you'll meet a girl going, well, I've been invited out this weekend, but I'm not sure where to go. And the girl that hits that tone might wind up being the girl you sleep with in the church. Or because of I'm talking about you here, remember, not me. I don't live my life with regrets. I've made mistakes, but I don't have regrets. No. I was thinking about Adam and Eve. I see something like a psychiatric profile could never tell you. If indeed they're trying to say that the best and most proven scientific theories are only proven by the fact that they are yet to be opposed, then obviously they're gaining weight like they're stacking up like piles of money, but they're propositions and not their ideas and concepts, and structures of logical patterns of information. But they're indeed stacking as cash is, as our values and morals. And so, you can only say, well, what is more plausible? Or what could be more plausible than A, B, C, D, E? And when you have margin for error, and as the zone for margin for error is greater, or known to be greater, you can't just afford to let mystery and faith fill the gaps, which is what these cocksucking motherfucking Eden incest cunts do in healthcare. Now, if you want me to take a Christian who loves their Bible and wants to study psychology, I'll tell you a story. There was a man in a royal family of an ancient monarchy. Now, between the communities, civilizations at that time were made up of the kingdom and the plebs. If you are in the kingdom, you are too worthy and too appointed by the gods to ever fuck a pleb. But there was one man who noticed a woman he saw walking amongst the plebs. He admired her. She was beautiful to him, but she was not of royal blood, as he was. He was not, therefore, he was too important in the gods' minds, the minds of the gods, to ever fuck her, have a child with her. He had to keep his bloodlines pure. That meant he had to fuck his cousins, mothers, sisters, so on and so forth. Nonetheless, he desired her, so he sent a dispatch, perhaps of guards, to follow this woman and see what she was up to. And they returned, 2 of them. He sent out 2. The 2 men watched, and they watched as she lifted down the pants of a man, another commoner, took his dick out and gave him a head job. The guards reported in detail, as they were ordered to, but even the enthusiasm and the lust and desire in the minds of each of those 2 guards was apparent in their tone of voice as they reported this information back to the member of the kingdom. So they'd mentioned details like, She moved up his shirt, pulled down his pants. Or this was a member of royalty who surveyed them and the action himself. He was daring to that extent, but what he saw broke his heart. And the converse of that heartbreak, and the break of his fantasies, was that this woman had caused the downfall of the whole of mankind. And as she was sucking on a dick, you see, if you ever want to tell me an object or any combination of objects that's more plausible to verbally interact with a human woman walking innocently around a garden, a snake and an apple, I say dick shaft, dickhead, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. So a forest region or an area where there were trees and plantations in the surrounding environment of the ancient kingdom. And there he witnessed a blowjob. But he was ordained by the gods to suck and fuck his own family. Of course, he didn't know how to say that was somehow, some way, not the right thing to do. And they had inbred themselves all the way out of yours and my knowledge of history, even. Knowledge of all good and evil. So even if you took that as true, that would mean you're supposed to know absolutely nothing about anything and have no sense of morals whatsoever, which is impossible. Then you couldn't know the story you were being told. So yes, a prince or a nobleman, someone in an ancient kingdom, preordained to fuck his own family relatives, sisters, cousins, something like that. And he saw a male commoner, receive a head job in it by a tree, by a female commoner. So he said, your whole existence comes from she didn't say, no, she said, another man's created. The original man. This is how God created man. He places one man on earth and it's just that man and God. What was that God doing, thinking to figure that the man would be happy enough with his own existence at that point? Go, thanks God for making me. Can I wank for you at this point? Show some gratitude. And when the man at that point in the story asks for the woman, and so that element leaks through there. See, when I do this, I'm not saying what's true. I'm saying what's more plausible then. So this monarch is telling a scribe the way Blackadder would command Baldric. Write this down. And God said, let there be light. And that originated from the dispatch of the guards side on the couple spying on them, or his own spying on them. And then there's a man. So he didn't get the blowjob, but saying that this whole woman only existed because a rib was created, but her fuck up, her failure, for which everyone else has to pay the price, was that she ate an apple from a tree after being tempted by a snake. Now, I called the Christian hotline recently saying, do you know, I have an Aboriginal friend who's wondering about becoming a Christian, and they want to know if the Aboriginal rainbow serpent is the same serpent as the snake in the Garden of Eden. And how would you know otherwise, were it not to be, to begin making discrimination on the basis of skin color? And they hung up on me. So I'm looking back at the phone. This is the sort of things that went on. That was not going on now. Someone told me that the gossip chain that Prince Harry has decided to have to get out of monarchism. I'm not sure if that was something I got told because of a jive.